Hey, this is C&D Channel. I'm Chris. This is also Chris, and this is MMA for you. We're going to be doing our UFC on FuelTV 4 post-fight analysis. What do you think of the fight card, and especially that main event, man?
I thought the main event was pretty entertaining, and obviously we both had Weidman, but Mark Munoz put up a little bit of a fight, but the outcome was as expected, and I thought it was entertaining.
Cool, man. Yeah, I missed one fight here as rising Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres beat Damacio the Angel of Death Page by triangle choke. Got all the other picks right, so that was pretty cool.
Very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, let's get right to it, man. Okay, Chris Weidman beat Mark Munoz by TKO in the second round. What do you think about that ref, man?
I thought he should have stopped the fight a little bit sooner, but this fight really showed that Chris Weidman, he's not only a classy guy, but he's got he's got a very good ground game, and it's going to be an entertaining fight if he does get the Anderson Silva fight. So I'm looking forward to it, and there's nothing really bad I can say about the guy.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned about his ground game, and I'd like to, just add to that. This guy was actually competing, I believe, in Abu Dhabi, if I'm not mistaken. He went up against one of the top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the world, and under Galvão. And while he lost, he was definitely holding his own. You can always see him going for chokes on the ground. And one thing I like about Weidman, too, is that when he does go for the takedown, he actively tries to pass. He doesn't just want to sit in your guard and lay on top of the guy.
Yeah, I really like his aggressive and proactive, ground game in wrestling, and I think that that's going to bode well from going forward against a lot of fighters. I'm really impressed by his wrestling.
So if it's up to you, would you have Weidman fight Anderson Silva next, or would you have Weidman fight, say, the winner of Bosch versus Lombard next?
That's a great question. I'd like to see him fight the winner of what was the fight that
Bosch Lombard.
Yeah, Bosch Lombard before he gets Anderson Silva. I have a lot of respect for Anderson Silva, so
yeah.
I think that maybe one more fight in between, and then he can get his butt kicked by Anderson Silva after that.
That's interesting that you say he got his butt kicked, man. Because I think that Weidman, he has a supersonic shot when he goes for a takedown, his supersonic takedown, and the fact that his top control and his passing, it's so much better than I feel it's better than Sonnen's top control and guard passing ability. His overall Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ability. Even Sonnen at the post-fight show was complimenting it. He said he was very impressed by this guy. One thing is, Mark Munoz as an opponent. Maybe, do you think Weidman looked good because Munoz really isn't as good as advertised?
No, I don't. I think that Weidman is
just
an excellent fighter. I think Munoz is a great fighter too. Obviously, he's not as skilled, technically. But I don't know. I like you said, Weidman represents the new generation of the UFC. So it'll be fun to see him progress and develop as a fighter. Obviously, it sounds like you have a lot of respect for him, but I have a lot of respect for the Spider, and
I do too. I mean, yeah, I love Anderson Silva. He's one of my favorite fighters, but this guy's really impressive. He just has that one dimension that Chael didn't have, and that's with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. However, Chael does have more. He's very aggressive about his takedowns. He pushes forward. It might even walk through punches to get takedowns and just keeps pushing forward to get him. Weidman's more of a finesse guy, very technical about it. Waits a little more patiently for the takedown, but he has a supersonic takedown. I mean, it's just so quick. It's very almost like instantaneous. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. If Weidman fights Anderson Silva, depending on how it goes, I'll probably root for Anderson. But honestly, I can see myself kind of going a little more towards Weidman, to be honest. And the thing is with Weidman, I like the guy. So even if he say he fought Anderson, hypothetically, and beat him, I wouldn't feel that bad as, say, like, if Chael Sonnen beat Anderson. I'd just be like, oh, man.
Okay.
But, yeah. Let's get on to the next fight, then.
Let's do that.
Okay, James Tuhuna beat Joey Beltran by unanimous decision. That chin of Beltran, man, huh? What do you think, man?
I mean, he's got a great chin. Let's see. Tehuna does need to work on his cardio, but he showed that his striking is pretty heavy, and
for sure, man.
It's a good fight.
Yeah, it was a fun fight. Tehuna was even dropped, to one knee, or wobbled by Beltran at points in the fight. I gotta wonder about his prospect status in the division, though, because Beltran's definitely kind of in the lower tier. And the fact that, he got a pretty, the decision says it all. But especially in the second round, he was definitely losing, fading a little, What we saw in the first round was definitely not the same guy we saw in the second round. But to do it, he's only lost to Alexander Gustafsson. He got taken down and rear naked choked. But he was actually beating Gustafsson in the stand-up. This guy's stand-up is deadly, man. That's the thing. I would like to see him fight another striker like Igor Prokrak maybe, or especially Fabio Maldonado. It's a little more of a lateral, or it's not much of a, upwards up the ladder. But, I think it'd just be a really fun fight. If you want to push him up there, another guy, if you want to kind of push him up there a little more, Thiago Silva, James Tuhuna would be pretty cool as well. So, yeah. Good stuff.
I think those would be entertaining fights myself.
Yeah. Cool. So, Aaron Simpson makes a successful welterweight debut as he beat Kenny Robertson. You know as much as I do. It just, the story was the wrestling. Right?
Definitely.
Aaron Simpson, just the superior wrestler here. He would take his back many times and just ride him out, man. And you can see by the third round that Kenny Robertson's cardio was just draining. He's just done. You know what I mean?
It was the wrestling was obviously what propelled him to the win. So
Yeah. One thing about Simpson, though, he was supposed to fight John Fitch, and one thing I noticed is that just on a stylistic standpoint, they're very similar fighters. Clinching against the cage, takedowns against the cage, a lot of grinding. I gotta wonder how Simpson does against these other wrestlers. And Robertson's a good wrestler himself, so it bodes well for Simpson that he out-wrestled a pretty good wrestler himself. I think Simpson, considering how strong his wrestling is, I think he was actually like an assistant coach for ASU, if I'm not mistaken. Despite his age, he's in his late 30s. He might do pretty well against some of this more wrestler-heavy fighters. What do you think of Simpson against a John Fitch, Koscheck, Pierce, Brenneman? A lot of wrestling-heavy guys.
Sure. I definitely think his wrestling is pretty top-notch. In terms of fighting, some of the more elite guys in the division, that remains to be seen. But definitely, he's got as much of a chance as anybody.
Nice.
But I'd like to see him and Koscheck. That would be.
All right, it's a good one. Yeah, that would be good. Good name for Koscheck and Aaron Simpson. Not always the most fun fighter to watch at times. Some of his takedowns are amazing. The way he can ride people, and the way he can take guys' back too from the standing position is pretty incredible as well. You definitely see him use a lot of wrestling. Not pro wrestling, just like college, whatever. Different type of wrestling moves that are in the book. So it's interesting to watch him in that sense if you appreciate that. And next right after that, two more middleweights, up and comers, went at it as Francis Carmont beat Carlos Mamola by rear naked choke in the second round. Carmona trains with George St. Pierre at TriStar.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. You definitely see his improvement in his fights. That's the thing. Any comments on this fight, my man, or just?
No. I mean, I thought it was exciting. I always like to see wins by submission. As opposed to knockouts and stuff. It shows a lot of more technical ability. So. Yeah. I mean, in that regard, it was entertaining.
Speaking of technical ability, I mean, what happened at the end was pretty cool. As we saw that Vemola was actually going for almost looks like a trip takedown, maybe a lateral drop, and he ends up in a crucifix.
Oh,
and it's. He actually, one arm was trapped, and the other one was kind of like in a backwards half guard, only wrapped one leg. And he still managed to get the choke because his arm was trapped as well. This was a good fight. Both these guys are huge for the weight class. Vemola used to fight at heavyweight, Surprisingly, there were a lot of good scrambles on the ground. I remember Coman was going for a Americana, and then he passes the mount. Vemola turns to the side, I think he gives up his back for a second, but then manages to scramble back to half guard. They were also trying desperately to get back to their feet once they were taken down. I think Vemola actually looked like more of a UFC caliber guy in this fight, except for those ill-advised guillotines. Of course, I like Vemola. He's always got this Hulk smash thing going on. But Carmona Limitless here is looking pretty good. Definitely someone to keep an eye on.
I definitely agree.
Okay, next right after that, Team Alpha Male's TJ Dillashaw beat Von Lee by a rear naked choke just in the first round. I mean, there's not much you can say. You got I think it's from a body lock. Takedown, get the back, submission, rear naked choke. Kind of looks like a neck crank, actually. Not much you can say, right? I mean, can you really add anything else to that?
Like I said before, I always like to see submission wins. Mm-hmm. It shows a different mentality, in fighting, and this was pretty straightforward. And Dillashaw, he executed to perfection, so that was good.
He's coming up, man. 135, trains at Team Alpha Male, still young. Definitely a guy to keep your eye out for. Okay, next fight of the main card, Rafael Dos Anjos beat Anthony Njokuani by unanimous decision. Njokuani's a striker, but what happened in this fight, man?
I personally really like Anthony Njokuani.
And made some money from him, man.
And I mean, he's been a great investment for me in some sense. But this just proves that if you gotta be a complete fighter, you gotta have a ground game, you gotta be able to defend against the takedowns, and that's something that he was unable to do against Rafael Dos Anjos to his demise.
Yeah, exactly. It went to the point where Dos Anjos was actually outstriking Njokuani at times. Dos Anjos would get hit as well, but for the most part, he was doing really well in the stand up, and I didn't think he'd do that well in the stand up. I think the threat of the takedown really gave Njokuani some pause. Didn't really want to pull the trigger for fear of takedown. He did get taken down at times too. Dos Anjos is one of those guys, he lost to T-Bow. He just beat Charus, and Njokuani. He's still young. He does have good stand-up. I mean, he's a well-rounded guy. To me, it's just a matter of time till he gets that one big fight and that one win over a top 10 guy. I think he has top 10 potential. Hopefully it'll come soon. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Okay, now on to the other card. We have Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres getting a triangle choke in the second round and beating Damasio the Angel Death Page. Any comments here? Bruce Leroy here coming
Bruce
up.
Leroy, huh?
Yeah.
That's funny. Another submission win. I mean, how can you not like it? You know, it just shows how technical the sport is. I mean, great win by Alex Caceres.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Exactly, man. One thing about Caceres, I actually picked against him, but he is dangerous off his back, long limbs. He's always had strong triangle chokes. He's lost a couple times by submission as well. So but I guess that goes to show he's not afraid to throw up submissions and be a little more active, even if it costs him position at times. It's going to be interesting moving forward how Caceres does as a prospect. He's actually looking really solid as a prospect, and a guy I shouldn't keep picking against because I pick against him all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's hard to shake the Alex Caceres we saw at 155, and he's at 155 first of all. And this is the guy who was in The Ultimate Fighter. He seems to be just maturing as a person as well, from what I read in MMA Junkie, which is kind of cool as well. Because he came off really green and immature, and I had a hard time shaking that. And that's why I always pick against him. But I probably shouldn't. This is Demarcio Page's fourth loss in a row now. But I think all of them are by submission, if I'm not mistaken. He might get cut. He just might get cut. With Caceres, he's at 135. Maybe he can give him another prospect like Dillashaw. If not, this is a pretty good win for him. It's really tough to say. Maybe even a Mizugaki. There's some good fights for him as well. I'm kind of missing that. Who they should fight next. Yeah. Next fight, Chris Carriasso beat Josh Ferguson by unanimous decision. I saw that Carriasso was just kind of outworking Ferguson, really, beating him up on the feet, even just beating him up on the ground, It was impressive. I'm high on Carriasso. I was high on him at 135. This guy was fighting Renan Barão and doing well. He got a split decision loss to Michael McDonald. Two guys that are just top guys in bantamweight right now.
How did he do against Renan Barão?
I think he did pretty. I think he lost a decision, but I think he did well. He didn't get his totally creamed or anything.
Okay. And Renan Barão is fighting Uriah Faber.
Yeah, and this
upcoming title. Is that a title fight?
Yeah,
it is a title.
Interim bantamweight title fight.
So that does speak volumes about Caceres' skill level. Obviously, he's up there with with the elite in that division.
Yeah, he needs to get the win. He beat Mizugaki at 135, but he's now down to 125. They definitely need more fighters, and Carriasso is definitely a quality guy to have at flyweight. Okay, next fight after that, another rising prospect in the middleweight division got a win as Andrew Craig beat Rafael Natal by head kick in the very end of second round. What do you think of this, man? A come-from-behind victory, man. What do you think? He was getting blasted, mounted, and whatnot.
I actually missed this fight. Can you tell me about the head kick? Because there's rules against illegal head kicking, right? To downed opponents.
This isn't down. No. This was just a normal head kick.
Oh, nice.
And it's pretty much like Natal actually drops him. They were on the floor. I think Natal actually mounts him. They kind of scramble back to their feet, and they're both visibly tired. And it's kind of sudden, he just suddenly gets his head kick. Natal goes down. I think Craig gets another punch in there, and it was over. It's a good win for Craig. He kind of has been doing that lately. Against Kyle Noak, he lost the first round, and then he just came back in the next two. It's tough to say what he's like as a prospect these days. I mean, it shows his heart, for sure, but if you're getting, dropped and kind of dominated in a way by guys, I don't know how much heart can take you. That's the thing, He's still undefeated, Andrew Craig, and he's doing well, He beat Kyle Noak, who's solid, and Rafael Natal, who's a solid guy as well. So it was a good win for Craig here, though, for sure. Next one after that, Marcelo Guimaraes beat Dan Stitchen by split decision. I don't want to say much about this fight because it's a boring fight. Do you have anything else to say about it?
I actually missed this fight also, but yeah, I mean, pretty lackluster.
Yeah. And finally, Rafael Assunção beat Issei Tamrai by in round 2 by TKO. Assunção is another guy. He used to fight at featherweight, dropped to 135, and is doing pretty well. He won his last fight. I forgot against who. And then he's just beat Issei Tamrai by TKO here. Definitely a guy to still watch out for. I see more of a solid mid-tier 135er than, say, like a prospect. I see a little more prospect potential for, say, a Caceres or a Dillashaw than an Assunção. I like Assunção. He's a well-rounded guy, good clinch, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, strong guy. I don't know. He always comes off to me like kind of a mid-tier guy as well, though. Yeah. Anything else?
I've always liked Rafael Assunção. Like you said, he's your above average, fighter in his division. But he's been a solid fighter. So.
Yeah, I could be proven wrong for sure. So yeah, that's pretty much it for our post-fight analysis for Geez, you know what? Yeah, for UFC on FuelTV 4. I totally forgot to say who these guys should fight next. For a lot of these guys, I'm sorry about that. Thankfully, a lot of middleweights. You can match up a lot of winners with the winners here, especially at 135 and middleweight. So that's pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, you got any final words here, man?
Not too much to say. I mean, I've been really busy with a lot of stuff in my life. But I have a question for you.
What's up?
What are you looking forward to? In the next coming months in terms of anything getting you excited? Or?
You know what's actually this is gonna be this is actually gonna be a little left field here, but and I don't even know if you're gonna watch this. I'm actually looking forward to Invicta FC too, the all-female fight league. I thought their first show was awesome. I always like, it's not just because, it's females fighting. It's nice to see, something almost from, like, the ground up. I've always been a supporter of women's MMA, and it's kind of nice to be able to see it almost, like, working from the ground up. It's actually getting to the point where it's like, I hope the UFC buys them out, and I hope Invicta becomes a Zuffa product. It's getting to the point where it's like people are wanting to see these fights, and it's just kind of nice seeing these girls from the ground up, seeing female MMA fighters improve. It's just kind of cool. It's this idea of like you've been with them and now look where they're at. So that's the thing. So I'm actually looking forward to that. Which is good. And quite honestly, like UFC and Fox, there's like Machida Bader, but Shogun Vera I'm not impressed with. I am looking forward to Burrell versus Faber. I'm a huge Burrell Pragado guy.
I mean, is Faber ever gonna get the title?
He has a good chance.
I mean, he's lost to Mike Thomas Brown a couple of times now.
Yeah.
And a couple other people, and he just never.
Yeah.
It's almost like Kenny Florian. It's.
Well, it's not. Part of the problem too is the divisions that he's fighting into are just getting better and better, and he is getting better. But I think the guys on the top are just progressing so fast. You're getting guys like Jose Aldo at 145, obviously. But at like 135, Dominic Cruz beat him, and this is a guy, Dominic Cruz, who lost to Uriah Faber. In the first round, and all of a sudden he's beating him up, or not beating him up, but he beat him in a 5-round match. Guys like Barao, who's just really well-rounded, even a guy like a Michael McDonald's coming up. So the divisions are really almost getting past him at this point. He's still staying in there, but I think a lot of these younger guys are just really, fighting at a high level these days.
Yeah, I'm not much of a Faber fan, but it doesn't look like he's going to be getting the title anytime soon.
Well, we'll see. He has a good chance against Burrell, to be honest, especially for the cardio and just maybe possibly outworking him. But that'll be for another prediction show.
Are we going to end ourselves now?
No.
I do have one more question, though.
What's up?
John Jones is fighting Hendo, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on that before we close up this show.
Just to make it simple, John Jones all the way. When we do the UFC 151 predictions, I'll get more into it, but
fair enough.
Jones all the way.
All right, cool.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for MMA for You. Thank you guys very much.